So here we go, question 85, three forces acting on an object. Let's see when you answer this question if the force was with you. So we've got these three forces acting on the particle. I'm going to find the resultant force first. And that's those three forces simply added together. Just adding those together gives me 3 plus AI plus B minus 4J. Now the next piece of information I'm given is that the magnitude of the acceleration is root 10. Now if we use F equals ma, and this is not a vector equation, this is a scalar equation, so this is just saying the magnitude of the force equals the mass times the magnitude of the acceleration. So if we use that, we can see that the magnitude of this force, and that's this force here, is 5 root 10. So how do we find the magnitude of a force? Using Pythagoras. So we get 3 plus a all squared, which is the I component of the force, the resultant force, squared, plus the j component of the force squared equals the magnitude of the force all squared. So that's actually the equation which describes the relationship between A and B. And so that's the answer to that part of the question. Now I've got to use the fact that the particle accelerates in this direction to find A and B. So how do I do that? Well, if the particle accelerates in this direction, then the force must be some multiple of that direction, must be some multiple of I minus 3j. So this is a vector equation, and from this vector equation I can derive two non-vector equations, which are this. So I'm getting the first equation by looking at the I components, and the second equation from looking at the j components. So now I need to eliminate the k from this, so I'm going to multiply this equation by 3 and then add the two resulting equations, and that gives me this equation here. So I can rearrange this to give me b, and then I can substitute this for b into that equation, and finally I've got an equation which has just got one number in it, or sorry, one letter in it. So this equation now is reasonably straightforward to solve. It's a matter of just multiplying out the brackets, then grouping the like terms and solving that equation. So we get two solutions for A. A is equal to 2, in which case B is minus 11, and A equals minus 8, in which case B is 19. So are both of these valid answers or just one? Well, let's have a look at the force vector now, with A equals 2 and B equals 11 to start, minus 11 to start with. So then the force, when we put those values of A and B into the force vector, we get this. But for the second solution, the force vector is that. Now, this vector is parallel to the direction I minus 3j, but it's not, but it's in the opposite direction. So therefore, the answer is this one, which is parallel to I minus 3j. So the answer is A equals 2 and B equals minus 11. So that's how I've answered that question.